Good afternoon, everyone. I will be presenting on the similarities and differences between college life in France and the US. There are many differences between the life of a student in the US and in France. One of the biggest differences between college life in France and the US is the cost. In France, tuition fees are relatively low, and most students attend public universities, which are heavily subsidized by the government. Some students even receive compensation of up to 2,000 euros for studying. On the other hand, in the US, tuition fees can be very high, and many students are forced to take out loans to pay for their education. Because of this, the American students are much more likely to have a part-time job while being a full-time student. They are also much more likely to have a car to commute to and from that job. Most French students don't drive and don't hold a part-time job. Another difference is the structure of the academic year. In France, the academic year typically runs from September to June, with long breaks in December and April. In the US, the academic year is divided into 2 semesters, with a shorter break in December and a longer break in the summer. Because most French students don't have jobs during summer break, many students buy exercise books to keep topics fresh. In terms of the academic experience, there are some differences as well. In France, there's a strong emphasis on theoretical learning, and students are expected to spend a lot of time reading and writing papers. Students are expected to take a lot of notes and ask few questions. In the US, there is more of a focus on practical learning. Students are often required to complete internships or participate in research projects. The example of the French student in the textbook who studied in America noted that his American peers were far behind in terms of academics, but were far ahead in terms of social maturity. The social scene in college also differs between the two countries. In France, the universities are much smaller in terms of population. The biggest schools have only about 500 students, and there is less of a campus culture, and students often live off campus in apartments. In the US, there's a strong campus culture with many students living in dormitories and participating in extracurricular activities. Another difference is the role of sports in college life. In the US, college sports are a huge deal, with many students and alumni showing support for their school's teams. Many people will choose a school to root for even if they did not attend. Sports in America garner the whole nation's attention and are usually a driving economic factor for the university. Sports are nationally televised, and student athletes are able to make money from endorsements. Exceptional athletes are well known throughout the campus and are honored in their culture. In France, sports are not as central to college life, and students are more likely to participate in cultural activities. There are some differences in the way that students interact with professors. In France, there is a more formal relationship between students and professors, and students are expected to address their professors with titles such as professeur or madame or monsieur. In the US, students tend to have a more casual relationship with their professors and are often on a first-name basis with them. French teachers are not required to have any teaching experience. To secure a job, they are required to pass an exam. A lot of this has to do with the authoritarianism and uniformity that is expected from the teachers. They are not expected to develop the student's personality. They are strictly there to transfer information. It is expected of a French teacher to be strict and make it difficult to get a good grade. The French also draw a bigger distinction between professors and researchers. In America, it is common for a professor to be doing research on the topics they are teaching on. There are plenty of similarities between college life in the US and France. Both France and the US have a strong tradition of higher education, and attending university is considered an important step towards success and career advancement. Many jobs in both countries have a minimum requirement for education. A job in the US may require a bachelor's or master's degree. In France, this is denoted as BAC plus 2, 3, or 4. The BAC indicates that a person has passed the baccalaureate, and the number indicates how much school they completed afterwards. In both countries, students are expected to attend lectures, complete coursework, and take exams. Another similarity is that both France and the US have a wide variety of universities and colleges, ranging from small liberal arts schools to large research institutions. Students in both countries have the opportunity to choose a school that suits their interests and goals. Both the US and France have trouble ensuring equality of opportunity to all people. Similar to America, the district you are in dictates to some degree what school you can go to. Poor students are often weeded out of higher education at earlier stages.